Merry Christmas, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm still in my pajamas here, even though it's afternoon on Christmas if you're watching this in real time. But I wanted to come and see you today so I could share with you Sarah's entry about Christmas. And since it's been a couple of days since I talked to you last, I hope that you are having a festive day. I'll be honest, I didn't think I'd be able to do this video a couple of hours ago. I think I've shared with you that Christmas is just, it's a tough day. I seem to have this like roller coaster of emotional breakdowns. It's a Christmas thing. But I'm doing a little better now this afternoon, and I've got Annabelle here with me, and we've got a nice little Christmas feast of our own scheduled for later, and glad to be here with you, glad to be of more clearer mind than earlier. Very grateful today for amazing friends that have done the most awesome things for me this year by sending me gifts in the mail to open every day, to like coming home to a stocking, which by the way was filled with the most personal and sweet things. Just, it's amazing. So definitely feeling Christmas in my heart. I think my emotional stuff is just more about my family and just the little girl in me that wishes things were different, and the lonely adult me that wishes somebody loved me. Although I just got done saying my friends love me, so so that's my Christmas blessing with Annabelle and you guys. So thanks for being here. I don't know how to summarize today's entry without just reading a whole bunch of it, because it's really cool. I'll skip over some of it because I'll just share what she's saying about things, but I have to read this unknown author quote at the beginning because it's a big part of the entry today. And hopefully you know some of the basics of the story of Jesus's birth for Christmas, because King Herod was one of the people that was in power at the time, and he was pretty materialistic, and he lived a lavish lifestyle. And my kitty has a new toy again, so she's in the background. That's Annabelle. So here's the quote. If, as Herod, we fill our lives with things, and again with things, if we consider ourselves so unimportant that we must fill every moment of our lives with action, when will we have the time to make the long, slow journey across the desert as did the Magi? We talked about the gifts of the Magi recently, right? Those are the three kings. Or sit and watch the stars as did the shepherds. Or brood over the coming of a child as did Mary. For each of us there is a desert to travel, a star to discover, and a being within ourselves to bring to life. So Sarah was at an art gallery in Vermont once, she tells us, and she saw this quote, and it was done by a beautiful artist who had done the calligraphy and everything, and there was a lot of graphic art, and she wanted to buy it, but it was really, really expensive. But she said when she read that quote, she said, that's it. That's simple abundance. Because if you think about that, it's like, we've talked about all the principles and how they're interwoven, and that we're on this journey. We're all on our way to our true north, which could be a star, like what she's saying. We are all, in the desert sometimes and can't see the water, and maybe are feeling like the desert's never ending. And then she mentions the other things, like sitting and watching the stars and enjoying the journey as it is, and anticipating the birth of things. So I can see why she just exclaimed that was simple abundance, just perfectly encapsulated. So then she shares that later, it was a couple years later, her mom bought her the print, and she was just, it was like the best thing she'd ever gotten in her whole life. And I feel like, remember when we did the office, or I did my office tour back in February, and she was telling us about a painting that was her favorite? I think that must have been the one that she has in her office. Because she did say something about it was like a special treasure, and she tells us in this entry that it's just gone across multiple continents. It's always been with her. It's really a grounding point for her, and it's so symbolic, because here she is bringing simple abundance to the world, and bringing it again as she just rewrote the book in 2019. So it just is really meaningful, and I don't know how to summarize that without, like I did, reading the whole thing, because it just is perfect. So I'm going to go on and say, oh, and she mentions Charles Dickens, who wrote A Christmas Carol. Hopefully you've seen the movie or read the book. I did actually listen to the audiobook this Christmas season in my car, and it was actually a book I had never listened to before. I had seen many incarnations of the movie, of course, and I love Mickey's Christmas Carol, but it was neat to listen to the story. And I also watched the movie The Man Who Created Christmas, or Invented Christmas, and that was kind of like a Shakespeare in Love sort of movie about Charles Dickens himself as he was writing A Christmas Carol. So she mentions him, and she says a quote from him from the book that says, "Oh, would that Christmas last the whole year through as it ought. Would that the spirit of Christmas could live within our hearts every day of the year." Did you see that tail? Sorry, that's Annabelle. But what is the Christmas spirit? That's Sarah asking us that. Perhaps the Christmas spirit, like the nature of the beloved, is meant to be a holy mystery. Perhaps the Christmas spirit is our soul's knowledge that things, no matter how beautiful, are only things. That we were created not always to do, but sometimes simply to be. Perhaps the Christmas spirit is a loving reminder that we must make time for the long, slow journey across the desert. We must take time to discover our star. We must honor the time necessary to brood over the coming of the authentic woman we were created by love to become. It has been said many times that our lives are gifts from God, and what we do with them is our gift in return. Today is the perfect day to remember this. And Sarah goes on, this is a lovely ending. So this is my Christmas wish for both of us, that behind the toys, tinsel, carols, cards, and chaos, there will come a moment of quiet reflection and peace, that it may be truly said of each of us that we know how to keep Christmas well, if any woman does. Merry Christmas, and God bless us. God bless us, everyone. Again, another quote from Charles Dickens, Tiny Tim. So what do you think the Christmas spirit is? We were talking last month around Thanksgiving time about being thankful and gracious and showing your love all year. And maybe there's ways that you can think in the new year of bringing that Christmas spirit of giving and showing love. And I love all those things she brought in, like that it's the birth of our authentic self. We're following our star. We're on a journey, sometimes through a long desert. Lots to think about with that. So I hope you do take some time today to pause, and that you have a moment of peace amongst the chaos, if you do have some chaos. I have a lot of time to think because I don't have any chaos going on, aside from the emotional chaos going on in my heart, but that's just par for the course on December 25th, I guess. I just have to come to terms with it. So we are going to go, and we're going to enjoy our Christmas feast, Annabelle and I, and I'm sending you all my love, and more to come. We have another week or so on our journey here in 2020 through Sarah's book, and I will be discussing, again, I know I keep putting like little teasers out there, but I have some fun things planned for 2021, and I hope that you stick around for that. And Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.